is 6:15. We do have a quorum. We're going to go ahead and get busy with the special meeting. I'm going to send down the results of the election for y'all to look at. We do need to canvass the votes. That's for the trustees and the board on the bond election. First thing we need to do is canvass the votes for the Proposition A, or I'll read it, the issuance of $9,900,000 of bonds by the Gatesville Independent School District for school facilities, with priority given to the high school and the levying of a tax and payment thereof. The vote totals for the bond were, the final total for 1,348 against 785. Any questions about that? Okay. So we'll go ahead and make a recommendation. Note that the canvass is complete, and I move to adopt a resolution canvassing the returns and declaring the results of a bond election. Is there a second to that, or is there a motion for that recommendation? Did I just make that? Okay, I just made it. I just made the motion. You are the second. Are there any questions concerning the bond election? Okay. If you approve the resolution of the bond election, would you raise your hand, please? If you oppose?
If you oppose it?
If you approve approve.
Okay.
Yeah.
You asking that?
Let's do that over.
We're off to a shaky
We're all,
All in favor?
all those in favor of approving the canvassing of the bond election? Raise your hand. Yes. Okay.
I told him to bring us hearing aids.
None opposed.
I got brand new batteries, do you?
Motion carries. All right, we're going to go on to the election of board of trustees. The numbers and the canvassing for that vote was just down there in that folder. Did everybody get a chance to look? Okay. So we need to canvass the results, and also we need to adopt the order declaring the election results of the election. So I move to adopt the order declaring the results of the trustee election held November 5th, 2019, electing Cheyenne Kaiser and Marion Lee. Is there a second? Charlie? Any questions? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. None opposed. Okay, motion carries. So Marcy, are we ready to
Yes, ma'am.
do the oath and such? Okay,
So start with the issue, the certificate of election.
okay. Cheyenne, if you'd come up here, please. I give her, this is your certificate of election.
Thank you.
That is yours, okay.
And then you
Make
keep
sure
yours.
that- And I keep mine, okay.
Statement of elected officer.
This is right here. These two? No. The certificate? Oh, just keep that one. Okay.
So y'all can look those over, and that's the ones
So
that
you
y'all
put it over?
it's signed today, so then y'all just turn them into me. So give those to me. Right now.
Okay.
Yes, on these. What are you thinking? Yes, so these I keep.
Okay.
Now, my oath of office.
Thank you.
Okay. So, y'all raise your right hand, and repeat after me. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas,
In the name and by authority of the state of Texas,
I state your name.
I, Marion Lee,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the
of
duties
the office of the school board trustee
of the office of the school board trustee
of the state of Texas,
in the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States and of this state.
of the United States and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God. Okay, so we are ready to go into executive session. Okay, at 6:21, we are going to go into executive session for the reorganization of the school board. You're welcome to stay.
you all know.
Okay, we're back from our.
Nominate Mary Ann.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. Any comments? All those in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? I mean, no, not opposed. I was just saying.
Tough, you're
I was late. I need to go out the door and come back. Okay. Motion carries her. She's elected. Here we go. Vice President nominations.
Charlie Alders.
Okay, is there a second?
So,
Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. None opposed. Charlie, what's your vote? Did you vote yes, or did you?
Or abstain.
Just abstain, since I'm voting for myself, I just
Okay,
abstain.
Charlie's elected
Conflict
vice
of
president.
interest.
Nominations for secretary.
how about Cheyenne?
Shane Kaiser. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of Cheyenne, raise your hand.
I'll vote for myself.
She's elected. Okay. So that is the end of our special session, our special meeting. We're gonna go and start our regular meeting.
Is it 6:30? 6:29. Just make sure it's officially 6:30.
6:29.
Oh, we have to wait 1 minute.
Does Charlie
We can be
need-
late, we just can't be early.
Does Charlie need to move over, or does it matter?
Sure. Bring your nameplate. Yeah.
Get all that work to put the computer on.
I've already got my computer built.
If I need a
Okay.
computer, just bring it.
Swap it out if you want to.
Won't hurt to have two.
Or next time, whatever you want to do. Mr. Alston, anyway.
Okay. See you later.
Thank you.
Good night.
I got it. Go ahead. We'll pass your papers.
Okay. Just having fun in the fall.
Use your chair.
Congratulations, officer. Just getting into this new space.
You're used to that, aren't you? With the boys especially.
There's his papers. Yo.
We're gonna call the regular meeting to order now. We do have a quorum. And if you'll please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Linda Maxwell's gonna lead us.
Okay, pledge.
Yes, as our customary practice, we invite a pastor, and Perry Garrett's here to lead us in our invocation. So Perry, thank you for coming.
Let's pray together. Our Heavenly Father, your word promises us that if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, and it will be given to him. You give generously, as your word goes on to say, without reproach. And we pray, Father, that you would grant just that tonight to our school board members and the administration here. We are privileged to be a part of this ISD and to see our children and goes on down to our younger ones all the way up through high school, cared for, educated, led, counseled. Pray that you would continue to provide examples for our young men and women that are exemplary, examples of wisdom, of faithfulness, of integrity, of steadfastness, of tenacity. We recognize that, as your word goes on to say, every good and perfect gift comes from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. And so this is a gift. School education is a gift. Gatesville ISD is a gift. our administration and our school board are gifts, and we thank you for them tonight. We pray all of this because from you and through you and to you are all things. To you be glory forever and ever through Jesus Christ, your Son. Amen.
Thank you.
A couple of years ago, when we started the baccalaureate back again, Perry was the first to give the message. And so he does a lot of stuff for us. And Perry, of course, was a graduate of Gatesville High School and was on the 2000 state football championship team. Now, Perry, are you as fast as you were back then?
Not even close.
Okay. Catches up with everybody. Perry, thank you. One other person I want to mention right now is Mason Edwards. And you're probably wondering, why is Mason in that little desk there? Mason came to us a couple of months ago with a really good idea. He wanted to start a student liaison, student body representative position that would come to each board meeting and be able to interject the student body's opinion on matters. You know, they're an important stakeholder group, obviously. And so Mason was very diplomatic. He went back to the high school and let it be open to votes. He pitched it to the student body, and surprise, surprise, no one else wanted to do it except Mason. And so Mason is the president of the student body, president of student council, president of the National Honor Society. He's working on his Eagle Scout project. He's one of those kids that makes you sick because he's good at everything. And so Mason's a great kid. And so he's going to be here every board meeting, and when he wants to interject, Mason, interject. And so you'll be representing the student body. And so some topics you may not want to, other topics you may be passionate about, but we're glad he's here to give us an insight on what the kids are thinking. So thank you, Mason.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. And we're moving on to student spotlight from intermediate. Ms. Register.
Good evening. All right, so I'm here this afternoon to discuss one of our 4-H students. And 4-H for us is new this year. It's one of our new clubs, and so we have many, many members. And so it was very hard to decide and choose one person, but we did it begrudgingly. We wanted to add a few more, but we will along the way. I got my information from Megan Nichols. She is our sponsor for our 4-H this year. And Callie, you want to come on up here? I have to brag on this one, and I'll tell you, and I'm gonna use Miss Nichols' words for Callie. She says she is such an amazing student. She, along with many of our intermediate students, competed in a 4-H competition for the first time recently. Food Challenge is a competition where teams of 4 receive a list of ingredients and have 40 minutes to create a dish. The teams present their dishes to the judges and are scored on preparation, serving size, food safety concerns, and nutritional value. I would like to recognize Callie for her outstanding hard work and determination during our practices and throughout the competition. She overcame her fear of speaking in front of the judges and helped her team to place second at our county competition that was held on November 7th. Her team will now get to compete in the district competition next month. And Ms. Nichols says, way to go, sweet girl. We are all so very proud of you. Okay, so Callie Smith is on.
Callie, do you like the show Chopped? Have you ever seen that? No? You want to be a chef when you get older? Do you? Good, okay. Well, we're proud of you. And you want to take a picture with us?
Sure.
Okay. Congratulations.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
I like pasta.
Pasta. Nice.
Good choice.
Are you cooking tonight? Are you cooking for us tonight? Okay, good.
Oh, she will.
Are you trying to get tips from her?
Trying to get a free meal.
Maybe she could teach you something.
Congratulations.
Well, Charlie's not here anymore.
Get Charlie's job.
And now we have our teacher spotlight presented by Dr. Sanderson.
Mr. Lisby, come on up. How are we doing tonight? It's my pleasure to stand in front of you tonight for the Teacher Spotlight. And I think we all agree how important career and technical education courses are in Gatesville High School. And I chose to recognize Mr. Charles Lisenby. He's our construction trades teacher at the high school. He does a fabulous job with our students. We stole him 2 years ago from Toby's team, and I think Toby's still mad at me for that. But he's done a fabulous job. Teaching is hard. Teaching is hard when you go to college to be a teacher. It's exceptionally hard when you went to do a different profession, and then you get pulled into the teaching profession. And Mr. Lisenby's got hands and feet and elbows and everything else and figured it out, and he's got those kids engaged and excited about learning. And my favorite thing about his class is the song he plays. I don't know if you still play, it's been a long time I've been in there. The song he plays at the end of the day to get the kids to clean up. Kids don't like to clean up the shop, so they get to listen to their favorite song. What is it?
Clean up, clean up.
Clean up, clean up. Well, cartoon shows, clean up, clean up. And they play that song until they're done cleaning up, and then they'll turn it off. It's a great teaching strategy. Love it. And I will share this about Mr. Lisenby. Mr. Webb always shares this story. He's the only constructions teacher that we've had since we've been there that is not freaked out when we mention building a tiny home. He's looking forward to one day having a covered awning over the CTE alley and building a tiny home as part of our program, and we're really excited about that. So thank you, Charles. You did a great job. Thank you very much. You get a certificate and a picture and a G.
Yeah. Right. One other thing about Charles is that we hit him up constantly for special projects, and he's always willing to do it. So we appreciate you, Charles.
He's gets to do the first demo as part of the renovation. They're going to start working on some stuff.
Love that.
Working on a project for the greenhouse too right now.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. Good job. Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. There you go. Thank you.
Yes, let me. Is there, before we get to public comments, was there anybody here representing Stanley Chevrolet? Stanley was going to be our community partner spotlight tonight, but I couldn't get a hold of them. And so I'll get this to them. They donated like $1,100 worth of supplies a few months ago. And so I wanted to thank them. And so I'll be sure and get this to them, and we'll have another one next month. And we like doing that because we have a lot of people that help us out tremendously.
And now we have our public comments section. Has anybody signed up, Marcy, for comments?
I gave her.
Oh, okay. Did I read this? Marcy? I do read this, don't I? Yes. Okay. Any person wishing to address the board during the period reserved for public comment at a board meeting must sign up to be heard in accordance with District Policy VED Local. Each participant will be limited to 5 minutes to make comments to the board. Any group of 5 or more persons must appoint one person to present the group's views to the board. The board is not permitted to discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on the agenda for tonight's meeting. This comment period is not intended for the presentation of complaints. The board has adopted complaint policies that are designed to secure at the lowest possible administrative level a prompt and equitable resolution of complaints and concerns. Each of these processes provides that if a resolution cannot be achieved administratively, the person may appeal the administrative decision to the board as a properly posted agenda item. For further information on these policies, contact the Superintendent of Schools at 254-865-7251. Mr. McConville.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for your time. Some of you know me, and some of you don't. My name is Ted McConville. My wife Lori and I moved here in 1993, and all 3 of our children went through Gatesville ISD School District K-12. Little brag part, 2 valedictorians at that group. Special shout out to Dr. Pollard. He taught me finance in college. And to his father, who taught me history in college. Unfortunately, neither one of them taught me public speaking, so I'll be brief. I'm here to ask you to consider a way that we can honor Tommy Davidson, a true Gatesvillian. When Tommy died, the whole community lost a family member, and it felt like a kick to the gut. Tommy did a lot of things for Gatesville ISD and the community at large. Besides being a high school student and football player that went on to become a Division I college athlete, he served on the school board, and he tended to the many bumps and bruises that GHS athletes have had over the years. Raise your hand if Tommy ever cracked your back. I think naming the football field after him would be a great honor. And from a political standpoint, it should be without controversy, since the field has not been named and the stadium, its name would not change. Simply put, I would propose would be Tommy Davidson Field at McCamey Stadium. If you wanted to honor his father Cotton as well, you could name it Cotton and Tommy Davidson Field at McCamey Stadium, or even Davidson Family Field at McCamey Stadium. If you need any help or assistance in moving this forward, I'd be glad to help. If it comes to pass, I think it would be, you could have the name stitched right on the turf of the field, like in one corner, whatever, maybe even with his jersey number. Thank you for your time in this matter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, too.
In honor of Tommy, I'm going to go watch Monday Night Football. But I will not have an old Milwaukee light. I will not be
Okay, we're moving on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion for the acceptance of the consent agenda?
I have a question. Originally, I'm looking for it and can't find it. There was a check written on the greenhouse and the fencing that went around it. There was a relatively large check, in my opinion. Was that part of the original construction, or was this something that we had to pick up later?
It was not part of the RFP that we did on the greenhouse, but we wanted something nice that was going to protect it, because right now there's nothing around it. And so we wanted something nice for when the construction happens of the high school, that it will match the same fencing that will be used in the courtyard areas.
But there was something else besides the fencing.
There was some more concrete work that had to be done. We had to go back to the engineer because of the water drainage. So there were a few extra things that we had to do.
Okay. Where did the funding come from?
From our 58%
Of construction?
of
CTE?
CTE.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda? Linda, second. Cheyenne? Any discussion, questions? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. None opposed. Motion carries.
Yep, so everything we're doing on that meets the specs of what they're doing on the construction of the high school. If we were going to do it, we wanted it to match.
Well,
we didn't want it.
If you're going to do it, you need to do it correctly.
Okay, as we see, Mr. Webb is next. With their RFP for exterior windows and CTE wing.
Yeah, this is another piece. You know, we continue to upgrade our facilities and our programs for our CTE classes, and you know, we've recently, in the past couple years, we've put heating and AC units in all the shops except for welding right now. You know, it's really one that you can't really have one in there. You know, but, we got some ventilation things that we're going to work on in the future. But we wanted, you know, right now those windows are original. The exterior windows in all the shop areas, they're single pane, they're rusting out, and so we want to look at getting some new windows that are energy efficient. And so I just wanted to let you guys know that we've put out an RFP to have those replaced, and as we get those in, we'd like to come back to the December board meeting to ask for approval to move forward with that, because it is going to be over $50,000 to replace all the windows in the areas. So you're looking at the CTE wing, the auto tech classroom. You've been in there and seen how expansive those windows are. This would cover animal science, welding, and construction classrooms.
The whole,
It'd cover that whole outside wing, because they're just, like I said, they're old, rusted out. The metal from the frames are rusted, and they're, like I said, they're single pane and they're just not energy efficient. And we have heating and AC units in those shops now. I'd like to do a walkthrough in December prior to the board meeting so you guys can see the new greenhouse and maybe just kind of show you some of those things.
Question.
Yes, sir.
So there's windows, I don't remember exactly, but windows on the welding side and the building trades?
There's windows in welding shop. They're up top.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're about 7 feet by about 28 feet or so long.
Are those windows gonna be covered with this, we're talking about a canopy and awning or what?
There will be.
So are those windows needed then, or could they be blocked off? What purpose will they serve when they're covered by an awning, I guess is.
Well, I guess they'll still be exposed to the outside elements, and so they're not really in.
You will get light through them, even with.
Yeah, because we'll have lighting in under that awning.
Okay. Just wondered if we needed windows.
What we're doing with that awning is we're making that awning an alternate bid to the high school renovation, and so if it comes in at a good price, then we'll be able to use CTE funds to pay for the awning as well.
Is this being done with CTE funds also?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Everything we're doing is being used. CTE funds are being used.
I hadn't looked at them a long time. It seemed like it's like 3 levels of windows. Don't you have one lower, then to pull out, and then some up above it?
No, they're just at the top. You know, Peanut shop gets really hot from that sun.
Yeah.
Especially
He's
in the
got
summer.
the east end.
Those windows are stationary, aren't they, on Peanuts?
And I can show you guys when we do that walkthrough.
It's in the old ag shop, and then.
Old ag shop, so,
mechanics,
yes, sir.
And then it comes down to.
You've got, there's
welding and then construction trades.
I think there's 2 sets of windows in construction, or one, and then maybe there's 2 sets in welding, one in animal science and another one in the big long one in auto tech.
Any questions?
How did they cover up the old high school between the old building and what is the new addition? Because that was basically the same thing. You had fold-out windows on that thing. Did
Yeah.
they leave them in there, or
Yeah, I'm
did
not
they tear
sure.
them out?
I'm not sure what they did. That'd be, Toby, do you know the answer to that?
I think they're still in there. If they did it like they did in the courtyard, they just put sheet metal over the side of it, and then, then just built their new brick wall on that side. On the inside, they put sheet rock, but on the outside, I think they probably just put sheet metal, some tin, like our panel.
I think they'd still like to be able to keep the windows if they can, you get that outside light.
They give you more insulation.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So hopefully I'll be back in December.
We'll see you then.
Yeah. But I would like to do a walkthrough in December if you guys are up to it.
Ready.
All right.
Ready for it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, sir.
And now, action items and new bus purchases. Marty?
So while Marty's coming up, look at him, he's like a. Come on up, Marty.
Walk slow.
So last time we came to you, we were asking for a couple of buses, and we were a little bit concerned about, those quotes, if they were going to expire, and we got to get new quotes. So we got 2 new quotes, or another quote, and Marty's got some good news for us, because last time we asked for $197,464. This time, Marty, how much are we asking for?
$194, $140.
So down more than 3,000.
Yeah, that's for two of the higher priced international buses. I guess whenever I requested a new date for the quotes, they thought, well, this is fixing to get in front of a board. So the international guy saw an opportunity to, you know, they're kind of like Ford and Chevrolet dealers. They want to sell buses. So I figured that's why he made that kind of a deal. That's for two international. That's better than Bluebird's still stuck at $199 for two of his.
Marty, have you had some problems with the Bluebird?
Yeah, this past month we had a Bluebird that had an exhaust fluid reservoir issue and was afraid it was going to affect another Bluebird that we've got. It's also affected Peterbilt trucks. That's another reason that I personally recommend not to buy all internationals or buy all Bluebirds or all Chevrolets, because anything can happen to them. And had we had this issue and had all Bluebirds, that would have knocked out possibly 2 or 3 of our trip buses that we were using for football games. So, as opposed to if you had half and half, well, you'd only, you know, had half of them down. It didn't and hadn't so far, but I still got one bus that the guy said that, well, that bus may come up with the same issue. It's just
What system is it you have trouble with?
it's the exhaust fluid reservoir.
So Marty, this is what you want, 2 internationals.
That's what I would recommend. It's entirely up to them, obviously.
So you're good with having the
Well,
two
you made
same ones?
you made such a grand entrance, I thought it was gonna be.
You're good with having 2 of the same?
Yeah, just for the money, I mean, you can't hardly
Okay.
beat.
So the international have international engines?
No.
Both
We
have Cummins.
want to stay away from international.
What's it
engines.
gonna be, a Cummins?
Yes, yeah, they'll both be 6.7.
What was in the Bluebird?
6.7.
6.7 Cummins.
Are we gonna have the same
That's the same engine.
problem?
No, I think international uses different components like that. Different companies use, you know, the chassis, in other words, like
Yeah.
international as opposed to Cummins.
We're gonna all have trouble until they get away from that fluid.
Oh, yeah.
I've been having trouble with mine.
Yeah, that's a money making
Yeah.
thing for somebody.
They are a problem. The problem is nobody knows how to fix them. That's the deal.
You know, it's a problem when they have parts in stock.
Yeah.
So it's a
Well, that
repeating
was the problem with this.
And that's
the
what I
part
ran
was-
into.
There were so many down that the part was back ordered till, supposed to have been December 1st, but ours bus was only out for about 30 days.
Mason, would the student body be glad to get a couple new buses?
As long as they're comfortable.
Air conditioning?
I don't know if this is the right, but how's our repaired bus doing?
We've been using it.
Doing okay?
I told my mechanic, I told Chris that we're gonna have to get about 300,000 miles out of that and get our money out of it.
And that was a Bluebird, right?
Yes, sir.
I like looking down the road. Now, you got the Bluebird that took a year to get. And then we had, which was new this year, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then we bought you, what, 3 vans last year?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we're getting you 2 more 71 passenger bus. So how does that project into the fleet, say for like next year?
Well, next year, as soon as I get these 2 buses, I figure it'll be probably by the time school starts, you know, this summer. Maybe we'll get them this spring. I don't know. You don't ever know when they come in. It's when they come in. But I'm aiming to pull 2 of the trip buses off and put them on 2 of my longest routes. So longest routes got air conditioners for sure.
We kinda got behind a few years ago on updating, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we gotta play catch
A
up.
long-term program last year, I think, as to
Well, I had something
in what year we wanna buy buses and
So,
sedans.
So that will set you up. What would you need next year in your replacements?
Well-
To that point?
The schedule's showing just 1 big bus next year and a sped bus, but that wipes out all the money.
Okay.
It's showing another van, but like you said, I bought 3 vans last year, so I don't think we need a van for a couple of years anyway.
Okay.
so your recommendation is 2 international school buses?
Yeah, I think that would put us in
Okay.
fair shape for now.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
David, second?
I'll second it.
Charlie, any more questions?
How long did you say to get them?
It varies. It could be 60 days. I would figure probably after the first year, might get one of them in. They'll probably both show up at the same time coming from the same people.
Well, in bid somewhere, I
Says
think I read 90 days, wasn't it?
Estimated delivery 45 to 60 days.
45 to 60 days, that's what it says.
It just depends. They build them up, almost all of them up to a certain level, and then if we want air conditioning, or if we want this, or if we want that, we'll add that to it.
These won't have that roof air.
No, sir. I don't want no more of them.
Okay.
Put them underneath.
Yeah.
All
Put them
in
on the trailer and pull it
Drag
down.
them off.
All in favor, raise your hand, please. None opposed. Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Marty's gonna go home, he's got an early morning.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marty.
Okay, Dr. Pollard, full day pre-K.
Okay, so you guys have heard about House Bill 3 was that sweeping legislation that passed kind of late in the summer, and it impacted all aspects of school. And one thing that they want in House Bill 3 is they want Texas schools to offer full day pre-K to the students who qualify. And so, but they kind of gave all the districts an out because that passed so late in the summer. They said, well, we'll allow you to write a waiver because we know it's late, and some Texas school districts, they may not have room, they may not have the staffing to hire at that point. It was late in the summer, so they said, we'll give you an out. But the out is going to get increasingly more difficult every year because they want you to do this. And it's a good initiative. You know, it's a good thing to help these kids get an earlier start on school. And so, two major considerations for us. One, we've got the room in the primary building. We've got plenty of rooms, so we can add a couple of classrooms if need be. Two, we looked at the current student population. There's about 50 kids in pre-K. Half of them go in the morning, half of them go in the afternoon. And so if we lengthened that and just said, okay, all of them will go all day, we'd need 3 to 4 teachers. In the midst of all that, we've always wanted to really, long-term, my vision would be if we could ever do universal pre-K for every 4-year-old, that would be fantastic. But unfortunately, it's too expensive because most grade levels you'd have to have basically 10 teachers. We'd have to hire 8. I mean, that'd be $500,000. And so it's just too much right now. And so, but another thing that we thought we could do is possibly offered as a perk to employees, full-time employees. If you've got a 4-year-old, you could bring them here for free, and they would be in the same classrooms as the ones who qualify, the ones who have special needs, they're military, they're speak another language other than English, they'd be in there with them. And so I polled the staff one question: how many of you have or will have a 4-year-old next year? 20. There's 20 of them, 20 kids. Coincidentally, there's 3 sets of twins, 6 of them. And so that would be full-time. And so what we're proposing or thinking is if we had all together, right now we've got 2 teachers, but if we had 4, we could serve all the ones that qualify all day, plus as an employee perk, all right, if you've got a 4-year-old, they can come on here for free and have pre-K here. And so 4 teachers could comfortably serve up to 85 kids, really, I would think. They'd also need 1 aide between the 2 of them. And so what I'm recommending tonight is to go ahead and add 2 teachers and an aide to offer full day pre-K to the ones who qualify, because we've gotten this early education allotment that the state is really wanting us to spend on that. They're going to start scrutinizing that. Right now we're kind of getting away with, well, we're using it for this and that, but they're going to start saying, no, we want you to use it for full day pre-K. The only little added thing is we're trying to lump in that employee perk for the staff members. And we're going to have some scrutiny or some tight reins on that. One, you've got to be full-time employee, or you could be a bus driver, paraprofessional, you know, full-time. But you've got to be employed. You can't come here for 2 weeks as an aide to get your kid in and then quit. So we're going to watch that very carefully to where you're not trying to manipulate the system, but basically any biological, adopted, where the kid lives with you and you're the legal guardian, that's the child. And so I think that will usually be a pretty small number, around 20 or so. So I wanted to make that motion or recommendation tonight to offer free full-day pre-K to all the qualifying 4-year-olds in the district, as well as the children of any full-time staff member. So what do y'all think about that? Any questions or discussion?
This year or next year?
That'd be starting next year. I asked Daryl, I said, Daryl, can we afford that? Daryl, your answer was?
Can't afford not to do it. The state basically is giving us an allotment for early ed. And this is really what they wanted us to do with the money. This plus the math and the reading academies, which will probably take place in the summer. That'll be kind of expensive too, but
So
we
the
sort of
only
have no choice but to do it. And then, you know, like he said, the exemptions are gonna get harder and harder to come by.
The only extra nicety that we're throwing in there with it is the staff perk. I waited till mine was out of LGLC and now I'm doing it.
What is the dollar impact? What is it gonna cost a year to do that?
So what we calculated would be at the very most 2 professional employees plus an aide, including all benefits, would be $125,000. Does that seem about right, Daryl?
And the allotment is around 400,000.
Is that a one-time allotment, or do
No,
we
it's
do
an annual
something every
allotment.
year?
It's gonna be an annual allotment.
So it's a no-brainer.
That's true.
Agreed.
We need a motion?
So we've heard the recommendation, we need a motion. David,
I'll
second?
start it.
Linda, any more questions? All those in favor, raise your hands. Okay, motion carries, great.
We appreciate it, and yeah, everybody with a 4-year-old, yay!
Those families that had twins.
Well, and that's like a huge raise if you've got twins. And I talked with LGLC, and I talked to them, let them know that, you know, their business model should be fine. There'll still be plenty of 4-year-olds, but just FYI, there'll probably be less staff kids there now because they're gonna probably gravitate over to this, but they were fine with it. They said, no, there's such a long waiting list for what few little facilities we still have left
And so
that,
they close.
yeah, First Baptist has stopped, Sunnyside, Sunshine, they stopped, so.
So on your new job applications, there'll be, do you have a 4-year-old?
I think the staff knew what I was thinking when I set out the poll question. They were excited. So.
That's a great thing to do for our staff.
Yes.
State's funding it, let's do it.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to the replacement of AstroTurf on the football field.
So another thing that's been bothering me since about June is that Coach Cooper, before he left, he came to me in June and said, you know what, I think our turf is wearing out. And so we went up there and we looked at it, and if you've ever been up there recently, there's a lot of the filament fibers come out in big clumps, and aesthetically it's not real pleasing anymore, but that's kind of neither here nor there. The big thing is that it's hard. And so we've learned all about turf over the past 4 or 5 months. There's a thing called G-Max ratings that measures the hardness of your turf. And basically, our turf is getting too hard. In hindsight, when that turf was put in, we probably should have put a pad underneath it. Pads are expensive, and probably to save some money, probably decided not to do it. But really, of course, hindsight's always 20/20. If you put a pad underneath it, the G-Max stuff becomes irrelevant. Your field will always be soft enough to meet those requirements. And so we started talking back and forth with the AstroTurf rep. It's still under warranty. It was put in 2013. We have an 8-year warranty, and so we're still under it. And so, you know, the first rattle out of the box, they said, well, we're going to give you a big discount and put it in there for $351,000. Well, we kind of looked around and said, well, that's expensive, you know, and so I wrote a pretty formal letter to him, CC'd our lawyer on it, and said that we think that this warranty should provide more towards that. So he came all the way from Calhoun, Georgia to look at it. And we had our own G-Max testing done in late October. And these numbers here that are coming up, in one area in particular, is not safe. Basically, if you get a G-Max over 200, that's when it's unacceptable. And one area on the turf was already at 210. They say they really don't want you to go above 180, and we had four areas between 180 and 188. And the rest of them were all between 156 and 168. Even the first game of the football season, the refs stepped out there and said, man, you better do something about this field pretty quickly. So even they who step on fields all the time could tell just by walking on it. And so the main thing for the public to know is this doesn't have anything to do with the bond. Will have nothing to do with bond money. We have $500,000 set aside for capital improvement projects. And so after pushing and negotiating and haggling and threatening AstroTurf, they went all the way down to $230,000, which amongst our team and everyone, we thought that was very reasonable because we didn't have a pad underneath there. We didn't pay for that to begin with. We need to get the pad. So for $230,000, you get the pad, new turf, and most importantly, a new 8-year warranty. He said you don't want that warranty to expire. Because if you let it expire, the first time a seam breaks or something, we're going to come out here and we're going to charge you dearly for it. And so I believe him. And so basically what I'm recommending tonight is that we need to replace the turf, insert a pad this time, get the new 8-year warranty, and that will cost us $230,000. I don't think it can wait any longer. If we hadn't caught it so late in the summer, we really probably should have done it sooner. But we need to get it done as soon as we can. So the soccer, the football, and all the kids that use it, if they fall, they're going to be okay and not hurt themselves.
What was their estimate for just the pad?
The pads are usually around 140 or 100,000, between 100 and 140,000.
Okay.
And I pushed him on, well, the warranty doesn't read like tires, like you prorate it. We shouldn't have to pay anything. I kept pushing him on that. And like I said, I even CC'd the lawyer on it. And he said, I understand that, but he said, you're also paying for a new warranty. Because he said, if we get to go that route, then it goes to 0 years and you're done with it. He said, you don't want that to happen. So.
What's the warranty on the pad? Is it 8 years?
It might even be more than that. But that's something I can look up.
So are you saying in 7 years we need to replace this AstroTurf?
No, because what happened was, what made this crucial is the fact that it's so hard. If it's just ugly, that's fine. But when it's hard and ugly, you need to replace it.
But our warranty will be out. You said we don't want our warranty to run out.
Right. This
So
will, if we do it now, it re-ups the warranty.
But it's only good
We're
for
gonna
8
do
years.
8 years from now.
Well, 8 years from now, the pad will protect us to where the GMAX ratings will be indifferent.
So we just pay them to fix the sink.
Right, true. Yeah,
Okay.
that's true. Because
Will they extend that warranty?
we could ask them. We could ask them.
I bet there's one of these companies calling that wants to extend my warranties. We'll probably do it.
Just refer them to Barry.
I'll give them your number.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing I don't think the public realizes how much haggling we do. We
Yeah.
talk about that today, all right? We don't blindly accept the first offer. In fact, we play hardball quite often. And so we do that for the taxpayer's sake, that we get the very best deal we possibly can. I mean, I've haggled with him multiple times, and he keeps coming down. And we've done that with several things here recently. So, but we felt like 230 was finally a reasonable amount to get those three things.
So if we decide to name the field Tommy Davidson Field, and then on the other side of the bench we want to put Class 3A Division I state champions 2000, you think they'd throw all that in for the?
I bet they might.
That looks. I got some pictures of some fields that have that in the wide white with the school colors, the lettering, and looks pretty sharp.
One thing Marcia brought up today too that we hadn't thought about is taking the old turf and saying, no, we want to keep that, and maybe putting it on the old tennis court. Because that old
Hasn't
thing,
that been there a long time? That's the original.
there?
Oh,
it's been there as long as Marcia.
yeah, that's right.
That's not that many years.
Better replace the turfs when it went.
And next year we can get it replaced.
That was the old thing.
So-
Well, the only thing I had, seemed like, I remember you throwing out that there was, since it was still under warranty, it didn't say anything about,
Yeah.
it was supposed to be fully replaced.
Yeah. Yeah.
They wanted
And-
to prorate it.
Yeah,
but
that's what we pushed him on so much, and so he came down, and I feel like as far as he could, I felt was
So
reasonable.
basically, you're paying $90,000 for an 8-year warranty, that's what it amounts to,
And the new turf.
and a new turf.
Yeah. But then again, like I said, that pad, once it's under there, because Toby's talked to some guys where once you had that, 40 years from now, the GMAC should be fine.
Yeah, everybody I talked to when we were getting all our numbers on that, they said the pad, easily 20 years, but he said we would probably never have to replace the pad. What makes the pad start getting hard and break down is the sunlight getting to it, so if your turf is in fairly good shape, it'll never get to the point where it starts degrading or anything, so.
Will it be the same type of turf with the little,
Microfilaments.
and so it's, not any upgrade, I guess what I'm trying to say.
Well,
too.
I asked him, I said, what was wrong, what happened back in 2013 with this product that seems to have really given out? He said, well, we had some kind of questionable suppliers. So I'm hoping maybe that their product that they're getting in is better now.
Look at that, like every 10 yards, you'll notice what the fiber is a little, which it's kind of like glorified outdoor carpet basically, it's just got longer fibers on it. They're shearing off on every 10-yard piece, so that's what they concluded was defective, what was questionable under warranty. And you can get, taller, you can kind of get a little sprucier turf, but it's still gonna have that crumb rubber, the little black rubber stuff that goes down, that's what's gonna be your cushion makes all the little follicles of the turf stand up basically.
Now, putting a pad under there will go a long way.
Yeah, it'd be night and day difference.
You don't put a carpet down unless you put a pad under it, you don't extend the longevity of it.
You save a little money one day and you spend it another.
That's how we roll. It takes a lot of money to keep it going. And I know that this is what's so sad, sports is a very polarizing topic for the public. And so they'll say, oh yeah, they passed that bond and now they're gonna start putting in a new state. This has nothing to do with the bond. Totally different money. And coupled with that, I'm not gonna have a kid crack his head open because we're worried about what people think about it. We're gonna do the right thing and put in a pad. Basically, what are you gonna say?
When are you looking at replacing this?
We'll have to get with the AstroTurf people and see what time of year best squeezes it in as far as avoiding the sports. And so,
Any idea how long a process it is to?
he acted like they could knock it out fairly quickly. His team was going to come and look at it. And so I don't know if they're also from Georgia or if they're going to be a little bit closer here in Texas.
Well, what is the carpet now sitting on? They didn't pour cement slabs.
No, it's like compacted rubber and sand. Isn't it?
Sand,
Crushed, like
yeah,
crushed.
it's just a sand with clay top on it, and then they put the infill, the little crumb rubber on top of it, and then you got your AstroTurf. It's just it's very,
But if you have a good base in place, it shouldn't be that hard to replace.
now, they said about 30 days is what it takes them to, time they show up and time they roll out, about 30 days.
Okay, we've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Charlie, second. Rob. Any more questions?
A lot of this will depend on the wording in the Gatesville paper, how you get it publicized, because that can make you or break you, what the public thinks.
And it's unfortunate that, like I said, sports can be very polarizing. Some people don't want you to spend any money towards it, or there's this misperception that all the money goes to football. All of it goes to football.
The thing about a football field, you use it for so many different activities.
That's right.
Band and everything
Soccer.
else. Soccer.
Little kids use it too.
Graduations.
Yeah.
The big march they have, the big steam.
Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries, thank you. All right, Mr. Harper is not with us. He is ill, so Toby will talk about the portable rental requisition.
Mason, they wanted to bring a little primary desk over. No, just kidding, wasn't gonna bring you a big one. So we've got to rent some portable buildings for the high school remodel. There's 17 classrooms that are gonna be displaced, as well as office personnel, things like that, so. We're gonna try to use as many spots as we've got, like junior high's got some portables, they're gonna kind of rearrange their classes where they can occupy those spaces too during, you know, certain periods. We'll end up needing to rent 6 portables, basically what it amounts to. I'm gonna put them on the high school, kind of the southwest corner of the parking lot there by the band hall and the choir hall. Mainly that location because there's already the existing utilities, you know, there's cleanouts for sewer hookups, and then there's, you know, water's easily available there, and the electrical too. There's a panel there close that we can come out of for power. So that should make it a little easier setup. They're, you know, they're expensive. Seems like everything we run into here lately is expensive. They range anywhere from the ones that were $553,000. That was just flat out purchase. You know, if we wanted to buy them and keep them for, you know, that was a purchase price basically. The other mobile modular had a lease program for $311,000 for all of them. And then Schultz House Moving, who we kind of got a hold of late in the game, they came up with $218,000. So that's for 6 portables. 3 of them are just going to be needed, or 2 of them just going to be needed for 3 months. So that'll, you know, we'll turn those back over pretty quickly. The rest of them probably needed for the full 18. Just depends how fast they get the high school done. I feel like they might shave a little off that, but, you know, figuring on 18 months, that's what they're telling us. So that would be my recommendation, that we approve the rental of 6 portable buildings from the specifications listed from Schultz House Moving. Another thing about Schultz is they're bonded, insured. This guy moves, well, I talked to him this evening, he was in Houston hauling something. So if you can haul a portable building in Houston, I think you pretty much do anything you need to do with a portable building. But, hey, I'm highly recommended. You know, he's been doing it for 25, 30 years. So.
It's another good example where Toby and Scott kept pushing, looking, and finally found, you know, we're trying to keep it below 250,000. We finally found the combination that got there. And so it took a lot of looking.
Yeah, that was, you know, several days and weeks, you know, just kind of going over, because there's several different companies that do portables, but at the end of the day, it's a portable building. I mean, you know, it's kind of like apples and apples. I mean, it's still needs to be a good, you have to have ADA compliant ramps, and he provides all that, anchors them down and everything, so.
Okay, we've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion? Cheyenne, second? I'll second. Any more questions?
Do we have any idea of age of what the building we're looking at? I mean, are they gonna be
Said
decent?
four of them are new.
Okay.
The other 2, the ones that he's gonna bring just for the 3-month period, they won't be new, just because it's gonna be a shorter span on those. But still, I mean, they've got a little, it's not like a, you know, so many point inspection like it, but it's more or less like that. There's certain requirements they have to meet before they'll let them.
Be in good condition.
They'll be in good condition.
Any more? All those in favor, raise your hand. None opposed. Motion carries. Thanks, Toby.
I had one last question. Now, does this cost come out of the bond money? Is that right? Not local? Or local?
Yes. We're now delving into the bond money.
Okay.
Soft costs.
Yeah.
They call them.
Kind of.
That hit you hard.
Really the hard cost.
And Toby, you've got portable moving requisition?
Yes, so we're also going to try to utilize 2 of our existing portables, move them over there too, by the, you know, choir and band hall. One of them's going to be relocated anyway. It's the one right behind high school. It's right where the construction site's going to take place. The other one's closer to Maine, but we feel like it'll be safer for the kids to, you know, if we want to have them occupying portable space, to have it all in one location, we'll kind of keep eyes on it and stuff like that. And it'll have, all the construction traffic is going to be coming in off 84 too, so it just makes sense not to have anybody around that area, or at least a minimal amount. So that quote's also from Schultz. Again, we looked at several different, a lot of them you can get, well, you can get anybody to move a building. There's a gentleman we had move some stuff here a while back, named Booker from, lives in Beverly Hills, that can move about anything, but he uses wooden beams, but he's not bonded or insured or anything, so if they pick your building up and he runs into the high school with it, you know, it's not, you know, he just doesn't, the insurance is more than, you know, there's a lot of quotes that we got that were like that. Most of them would pick a building up, move it for around $6,000 to $7,000, but there wasn't any, setting it up, leveling it, anchoring it down. That wasn't including ramps or underpinning. This quote from Schultz was including everything, moving them, taking them down, moving them, setting them up, leveling them, putting in ramps and everything. So, I mean, that just seemed like the best route to go.
And was that included in that?
No, this is totally,
It's extra, okay.
it's a separate deal, the moving and the rental. Just happens to be the same gentleman, so.
These are buildings we already have.
Right, correct, yeah, both these are.
Move these, who's gonna run the electricity?
Well, contract it out, I'll get some quotes on that and see who would want it paid, last few quotes, I've been getting quotes from, Amos is possibly gonna do the electrical on the new high school renovation, so I have had them quote a few things, but they're a little high for just the kind of smaller projects that we've been doing, so this will probably end up being Bartlett or Bay, somebody like that. I'll just, show them where we need to put them, get them look at the service, but it'd be, we'll try to spend all those dollars local if we can, so.
Okay, so your recommendation is?
To approve moving the 2 portable buildings by Schultz Moving.
And what was the cost on that?
That was
$33,067.
$33,067.
Is there a motion for that recommendation?
I'll make that motion.
David?
Keep it all in one business.
And Linda will second. Any more questions? All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, motion carries.
All right.
Thanks, Toby.
Thank you.
Shall we do the final?
Yes, Shelley's here.
Okay.
Shelley's like Marty, she
Shelley?
wanted to make a grand entrance.
To speak about the district fiber install and relocation.
Last month, we talked about the need and the importance of running fiber for the district. So we issued an RFP, request for proposal, for the district fiber installs and relocations. We had vendors submit those bids to us, and they were due this past Wednesday. So at that time, we evaluated those bids, and we found that based on the highest matrix score and the best value for the district, we found that Convergence Cabling is who made the highest points. I recommend that the Gatesville ISD Board of Trustees approve the selection of Convergence Cabling as vendor for the district fiber installs and relocations. I hope I'm not getting sick like my husband.
Stay away,
But that, I recommend Convergence, and I think in your package you have that bid, and that quote is included in there for you to look at.
Shelley trusts Convergence. They've done work for us before, and they've been real attentive to us during this process, and so we were pleased when they came out on top on the matrix as far as who we should pick.
We were very pleased with the work that they did for our new elementary. The work in the cabinets and the closets, the new fiber that they ran for the elementary was very well done. We really thought that they did a great job for us on that project.
Is there a motion for that recommendation?
Are we rerouting the wireless cable for the entire district, or is this just where we think there's a trouble spot between here and the high school, or?
This is district fiber that will be rerouted, yes, it's for the entire district.
For the entire district.
The full run for the entire district from this building feeds everyone, and that's what we were wanting to alleviate, is that issue that we were having, and getting new fiber and replacing that fiber. I think since I've been here, the location that it is right now, I think it's been tapped into broke about 3 different times, so we're hoping to.
This leads me to the next question. Now why do we think it was broke or whatever? Is this from the construction of the weight room, or are we gonna run the new cable like in PVC pipe as an example for extra protection so this doesn't happen again?
Yes, definitely. It will be in a 2-inch pipe.
Okay.
It will also have a casing on it that will be an outer core casing, and it'll be underground quite deep. We're not sure how deep all of that fiber was, but in various areas it was fairly shallow. So this particular job will be running it at least 3 feet deep, or 24, 28 inches is what is recommended. So we'll be driving that deeper, and we're going to be asking them to bore it, so that'll be a little bit different than what was done there. That was trenched, and they laid pipe, and this will be done with bore machines, similar to what you see on the side of the road when they're running fiber for, you know, internet access. Be driving it underground.
Everything will be in conduit.
Yes, definitely.
So where does the funding come from? Is that capital improvement again, or CTE?
I think that was one of the capital improvements, wasn't it, Daryl?
This was out of the 500,000 that we earmarked for capital.
So
Same.
this and the turf,
Same.
fiber and turf are out of the 500,000. And we should still have some left after those two
A little
projects.
bit. Okay.
Is there a motion?
Did you make one?
I'll make it.
Oh, I thought you did. Sorry.
David, okay, second? Linda? Okay, all those, any more questions?
So this will be out of, will it be under the new high school area, or is it gonna be,
Where's the route?
what?
The route from here to
You
where?
know,
I thought we weren't going to discuss.
but it'll be accessible because it's conduit.
It'll be,
For the future, if something has to be done.
If you have a failure, you
Yes.
just blow a new one through it.
yes, and then you also, in case there is a break, we also have extra footage that will be in the handholds, and that's something that we also requested, was various handholds. So they'll have loopage in those handholds for breakages. In the past, there was not loopage or anything in those handholds, so when you do have a break, you don't have anything to pull from and maybe do some splicing. So this will have handholds with, you know, we don't hope that it doesn't get broke, but things do happen.
It will.
That it, you know, could
Could.
possibly, but the route that we're taking is not in an area that is going to be in a construction zone.
Or access by maintenance, which will happen to.
I wasn't gonna say anything. District backhoes or anything.
That was understood.
All those in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Shelley.
you.
Thanks, Shelley.
And Mr. Frazier, annual review of Gatesville ISD investment policy.
If you need a good read sometime, just go to our website, go to the school board link, and then go to the link for the school board policies. And all the policies that operate our school district are right there in plain sight. One of the policies is the investment policy, and that's under CDA. There's a local section and a legal section. The local section is maybe 4 pages. The legal section is longer. The local section, which I'm looking at right now, is on page 106 of your board book, is more of a kind of a capsulized summary of the legal policy. So this is a item of housekeeping that we do once a year that the school board officially has to review. So you have this in your board packet. We're able to review these policies. These policies are updated annually by the TASB Legal Service that helps us with all of our legal policies. And in this one I have reviewed their before and after, and they were like extremely minor changes, a comma here and a comma there. No substantive changes whatsoever to the legal or the local. And so the one that you have before you is the one that has been updated by TASB. It talks about on page 106 the types of instruments that we're allowed to invest in, and numbers 1, 2, and 9, which are the obligations guaranteed by governments such as the federal government, certificates of deposit, and public funds investment pools. Those are the 3 instruments that we currently use for our investments. this is kind of a roadmap for our school district in terms of how do we approach the investment of our funds. And above all, we want to make sure it maintains safety and the adequacy of the principal. Maintaining liquidity is also an important factor so that you're able to meet your obligations. You don't want to put anything too long out there in terms of maturity. And when you need the money, it's not available. So the length and the safety is extremely important. The standard of care and investment training that the 2 investment officers, which is Dr. Pollard and myself, we go to annual training, and we monitor our investments on a monthly basis, and we present those to you on a quarterly basis called a board report, an investment report, which is a quarterly one, which is pretty detailed. And the investment policy that we have been operating under for some time is, of course, in agreement with the Public Investment Act. It complies with that, and it has served our district very well. We've done very well with our investments, and I think you can be proud of how the school district's handled the funds for the school district. It talks about on page 109 about an annual audit, and we're currently in the midst of our annual audit with the Lockburn Company, and part of their audit includes auditing of internal controls and of our investments, and so they're going to be doing this as part of their audit, and that audit will be presented to you in the month of December. So I have nothing else to add. It's basically just like it was last year, and it's a good policy. It serves us well. If you have any questions that I can answer, I'll be happy to do so. But
Appreciate the job you're doing.
no, thank you. It's worked well for us.
Daryl, give them one number. The evening meal program so far has made how much?
Evening meal program is up around 19,000 profit already. And we're probably going to have a loss of about 55,000 this past fiscal year. That shows up on the audit that you'll get in December. And that alone, plus what happened with the CP program at the primary, where the whole entire primary campus was treated as free, and our numbers has gone through the roof, more than a 10% increase in the participation just at the primary campus. So those 2 factors alone, I'm very optimistic that this year may very well be the first year that we're going to break even on our food service program. And I think we'd all be very happy with that. Gail's working very hard to that end, her and her entire crew, and we have that gratitude to them because some of them stay over and have adjusted their schedules to make the evening program work. But we're averaging over 600 meals a day now from all 5 campuses, and last week was the 2nd full week of having all 5 campuses participating in the after-school meal program. That has nothing to do with investments, but
That's how you insert a little
Good stuff, yeah.
all right. So I recommend that we approve the investment policy as presented to you.
Is there a motion for that? Cheyenne, a second? Rob? Any more questions? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Board.
Then we have the district and campus improvement plans. Marcia.
Yes, I'm sure just as the investment policy, the district and campus improvement plans are very interesting reading. And you have been reading those for years. But I don't know if you even noticed, but one of the things that as we meet begrudgingly as administrators, and first y'all set your board goals, which you changed somewhat this year, and then we come together and start planning on doing our plans, which is something we eagerly await doing. And we talk about, now what is required, what do we have to do? It's kind of a gray area that it's hard to find what is required for this compliance document. And so we were discussing it, and the principals, since we had some changes, all of the formats were just all over the place. So we looked into and found a company called Plan for Learning, and it has all of the compliance issues built into a template. So we had a one-day training during October,
and got busy trying to learn this new template. I don't know if y'all noticed that about the plans, but they start out with the accountability rating of each campus in the district. They go into the district goals, performance objectives, and then strategies. For the district plan, one of the things that I liked a whole lot is it allowed you easily to input the funding and the budget for the federal programs. You could see that in ESSA, we could input Fund 255 and 211, and we also have to input compensatory. I don't know if you looked at a long chart of teachers, and some of them were just a portion of an FTE, which is a full-time equivalent. And that list became longer this year, and the campuses will talk about that, because all of the campuses are excited to report that we are doing during the school day interventions. And so compensatory funding, which we have to show in the district plan, we have to show how many people or portions of people we are using for that. So if they have 30 minutes a day, core content teachers doing remediation, that's where those portions of FTEs come from in the district plan. So all of those things tied together, and at the end of the document is in an addendum is all of the policies and links to board policies for all of the requirements in the district plans. Things like sexual abuse, sexual harassment, suicide awareness, all of these things have to be mentioned in the district plan, and it's in a checklist format, which is the way all of the ESSA required, which is the new NCELB information, is in there also. So we felt, Shane and I worked on it several Fridays in a row, trying to get our objectives aligned with your board goals, and then get the funding in there and get it all in line. And we feel like we came up with a pretty good plan, one that when our ESSA consultant calls, I said, I know it's in the district plan. So now we have all of our purchases, which for budget and finance are supposed to be, if they're important enough for us to spend federal funds on, then they must be in those plans. So that's good. It's a good kind of a catch-all that we have it covered in all of those. So the campuses in this same process in the last few years, they've had the compliance document, which y'all approve, and then they had the one that really meant something to them, the action plans that they've worked on. There are things that are important to their campus that they can really do. And so the campuses are going to go over just some of the important items. They incorporated their action plan into this template, and so now there's not several different documents. It's all in this one format. So I'm going to start with Yancey, and he'll go over some important things going on at high school.
As an administrator, one of the hardest things we have to deal with is that balancing that compliance piece, that checkbox that you have to the state with stuff you can actually use on your campus that you're going to look at. And the campus improvement plan for the high school is 22 pages long. And so, you know, how's that meaningful for the campus? So I really appreciate that we get to include our action plans into this, because that's what's meaningful to us on the campus. And we worked hard to align them to the 5 district goals. And goal 1 for the district is address the safety, discipline, and attendance. And so the high school's action plan that matches goal 1 is to maintain an attendance rate of 95% for all students. We know how important attendance is to multiple things, from funding to mastery of content to just moving on to be successful beyond high school. And so we wanted to make that a focus this year. We've done a few things to match that action plan, and one of them is we have a flex time homeroom that meets every Monday of the week for 25 minutes. And we started it last year as part of our action plan. And we kind of changed the format this year to build those with 4 years in mind. And what we mean by that is, take our freshman class. All math teachers, plus a few elective teachers, have freshmen. And those same group of freshmen will stay with that same math teacher or that same elective teacher for 4 years for homeroom. The goal for that is those teachers can become a level 1 support for those students, those 18 to 20 students, 16 to 20 students based on what grade you're in. and really be a support for that kid, help connect that kid to school, help be a resource to parents to help improve attendance, because sometimes it's just that one relationship that gets that kid to come to school every day. But we all know that attendance is multifaceted, it's more than one piece. And so in addition to the building the home room with 4 years in mind, we have hired a truancy clerk this year. And Ms. Long is really helping us with that, and she's doing a lot of paperwork and tracking, and it's, you know, it's a bear. It's enormous to try to keep up with any of that stuff. And we had a meeting last week about some next steps, and she's like, I said, well, Cindy, what do you think? And she said, I think it's a full-time job. And I said, you're right, it's a full-time job, and you got to prioritize for your half a day that you're here and figure out what we can get done. And she's really been beneficial to the campus in that aspect. We were doing really good on attendance till the last 2 weeks. And the flu has knocked us out. It's the flu and strep and some other virus that's going around right now. We had a rough week last week, and hopefully it'll be a better week this week. So that's campus action plan alignment with goal number 1. And I'm just going to talk about 2 today in my limited time. But goal 2 for the district addresses literacy. And this was our campus action plan goal last year. And one of the challenges that I faced in education is that it changes the plan or the focus of the goal or the theme changes every year. So I tried really hard to maintain the same plan, theme, focus year after year. And last year, a group of teacher leaders decided that we as a high school wanted to be a model PLC campus. There's a company called Solution Tree that started the PLC model and the PLC process, and they recognize campuses that meet certain criteria to be a model PLC campus. And there are only, I think, 5 high schools in the state of Texas that are model PLC campuses, and that's our goal, is to become one. We started last year with our flex time, our in the school day intervention, and we've added this year team time, which is collaboration built into the master schedule for science, math, social studies, and English teachers. So all 4 of those departments have a period in the day that's dedicated to meet and to plan and to work on collaboration. So that's the second step of the model PLC process. It'll grow again next year. That action plan is not going to change, and we'll have to keep adding and getting closer to that. So those are the 2 district goals that I wanted to address tonight and connect our school action plans to those. Any questions about those 2 things?
Mason, any thoughts on high school?
Good job, Mason. I'll make sure you get your grades.
Well, Ms. Venable, thank you, Yancy. Ms. Venable is sick, and so Ms. Hensley is here in her stead. So, Lori, thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Filling in for Cindy.
All right. Well, I'm excited to share a little bit about what junior high is doing this year. We have some really great things going on our campus. Focusing on our 2 action plan items, both of them tie tightly into that goal 3, which is curriculum, technology, and professional development. Our first goal is students improving their writing rubric scores in 2 to 3 areas through increased writing opportunities in all the content areas by April 2020. We've been working on writing for a while. That's something that, you know, all our students really kind of need to be successful in any content area. No matter what they're looking into going into in high school, they need to have that good writing foundation. So what we're doing is really taking the time to work with all our teachers, including elective teachers, across the content areas on those big writing ideas like organization, the developments of ideas, the use of language. And we're working with those teachers so even no matter what content area they teach, they can work that writing into their curriculum. So kids are writing across the curriculum and have that opportunity. Not only do the kids have the opportunity, but those teachers are also going to be better informed on how to instruct it and to intervene and provide some remediation with that writing as well. Our second goal focuses on data desegregation. You know, our teachers do a great job collecting data, but we want to know what are they doing with the data to inform their instruction or to be able to provide some remediation. So our goal is that teachers will utilize data entered into Eduphoria from 2 to 3 unit assessments per grading period that addresses the 4 critical questions and a PLC by May 2020. That PLC piece, when our teachers meet and discuss our students and discuss what's going on in the classrooms and how they're performing, they're really looking at those 4 questions. What do we want all our students to know and be able to do? How will we know if they've learned it? How will we respond when some students do not learn? And how will we extend the learning for students who are proficient? So they're taking the data from the assessments that they give in their classrooms and looking at those 4 questions. We're looking at what students need remediation. We're pulling those kids during what we call prime time, which is similar to high school's flex time, providing that intensive instruction or remediation. For our students that are proficient in mastering, we've got to provide them opportunities to extend their learning and grow. So we're taking that data and we're just moving it to the next steps. So those are our 2 items.
Lori, on that Gear Up grant that y'all got, how many
Yes.
Chromebooks are y'all gonna get to buy?
Oh, goodness. Let's see, we've gotten English Chromebooks now, I think. Science got theirs as well.
So they're carts of like 25?
They're carts full of 25 each, and I think we just got 4 in maybe 2 weeks ago. So we're very close to moving to being a one-on-one campus. Yeah, that's a great opportunity for our students, so very, very grateful for that.
Thanks, Lori.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Next.
I'm gonna piggyback a little bit off of Lori's because, you know, our main goal is a student achievement this year, student achievement and student growth. And so for us, we needed to take a look at our teachers' PLC and look at the planning and what they were doing, that collaboration in their planning, and then also, you know, looking for ways that we can do some common assessments so that we can see where the gaps are with all of our kids. And so we use that PLC time to data disaggregate, you know, from our common assessments, and then also to use that data to implement our interventions and who needs intervention versus who needs enrichment. So a lot of times with our teachers being able to unpack units of study and stuff, they're able to come up with their common assessments, and then we actually see the kids that have gaps and what those gaps are, and then we can use our time, which everybody has a new name, a different name for their intervention time, but we call ours WIN, what I need. And so we're able to pinpoint and target those areas where you know, there are more areas of need. And then, you know, our goal for our teachers is maybe one is really great at a certain focus. So we pinpoint and target those kids to go into her classroom so that they can hear it from a different perspective. Because a lot of times, you know, if you hear the same teacher saying the same things, sometimes it does sound like that Snoopy, wah, 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 you know, I mean, and so it's just very helpful for our kids to hear a different perspective on things and really dip in and you know, are able to raise the bar for those kids. So, you know, like I said, our goal is just achievement and growth, and that's the way that, you know, we're expecting to get that done.
Thanks, Bruce. Keegan's at a conference tonight, so Leanne's filling in.
We also aligned our goals with the district plan, and we focused on 2, although we have 1 on each one. We're focusing on 2 big ones. So goal number 2 for our district is literacy. So that's the first thing we are focused on. At elementary, we are working on the core content. We're working on literacy, reading, and math. And so we hope that 100% of our ELAR teachers are engaged in high quality literacy instruction. We are utilizing the Readers Writers Workshop now, and we're hoping to help our kids grow. So in order to do that, we have new language and reading TEKs that we are studying. We've been training on how to do guided reading and literacy stations. We have a whole new F&P literacy curriculum that we're using in a continuum. We're doing running records and meeting our kids and ongoing assessments with those so that we can constantly be checking where our kiddos are at and where they need to go after that. And our second action plan kind of ties into that, and it is that we have also started what you've heard from a lot of people out here. We've got a win time, a when I need time, and it's an hour-long intervention program and enrichment program, and we reach reading and we reach math. And we use this time, we go through our curriculum, and then we take and we do data assessment. We're driven by data as well, and we take that data and we look at what our kids need, if they need enrichment or if they need more intervention, and we're adding that in. And so we started by building essential standards that we needed, and we aligned vertically and horizontally so everybody's teaching the same thing and we're all working towards the same goal. And we're using that in our standard-based report cards that we have built this year, and everything works off those essential standards. So once we have done, taught the curriculum, we do the assessments, we take the data, we check the data, and then we know where to go with our children to intervention and in during our win time, so that we hope that we bring everybody up to standard better across the board.
Thanks, Leah.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah, Shara.
What everybody said. No, at primary, we are the foundation, and, we do not have the state testing like they do at the elementary and the other schools, but, we provide that foundation for the children. And so our main focus, as with a lot of the campuses, is literacy. And so this year, we have a win time where we have, it's based on what the students are needing, and so we do assessments, where the kids, what areas they're struggling in. They divide up and they go into a support teacher who is working with them on specific things, so it may be phonological awareness or onset rhyme. And then those groups, they get assessed, and then those groups change, just depending on what that student needs. As far as, we're doing a lot of inclusion. Kids are not being pulled out for the reading support, and so we have teachers going in, working with groups of children. We've implemented the FMP as well with guided reading. That has been our focus, that we've really been hitting hard with the guided reading groups. So literacy is very important. I think pre-K, that was another big thing, was stressing and wanting and pushing for the full day pre-K by giving students that foundation and having that, having them ready for when they go into kindergarten, and they're ready for the instruction to increase those reading scores. We want all students reading by the time they leave kindergarten so that they're ready for first grade.
That's wonderful.
Thanks for sharing.
Were all of us reading before we got into first grade?
So, back to the board agenda item, the plan for learning, that program enabled us to have the template-driven plan, which you have to approve tonight. In talking to our consultant that works with TEA, she said if you're ever audited, these plans we upload each summer for audit purposes. If you're ever drawn, she says the plan for learning program it's almost, they look at that and they think you've got it all, because you have to check off you have it all. So there are different things that the district has in its district plan that we have to have in campus, that campus has to have, but we all have to do one each year. And you have those, I think in your folder, or a folder. And so what I am recommending is that you approve the district improvement plan and the campus improvement plans with the action plans embedded in.
Oh, you've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion? Cheyenne, and second, Linda? Okay. Any more questions? All those in favor, raise your hand. No, none opposed. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Lots of hard work. Okay. Dr. Caller, it's yours.
Nearing the end, this is the Coryell Central Appraisal District Board of Directors voting resolution. So every couple years we get a ballot listing the candidates nominated by the taxing jurisdictions, and then we use our allocated votes. This year we have 813 votes that we can send towards one person. And I think last time we used all of them for Teresa Johnson. And so we wanted to see if we couldn't do that again this year. So it's the recommendation, Gatesville ISD, to allocate all 823 votes towards Teresa Johnson to serve, hopefully on that CAD board again. Being a real estate person, we think the last time y'all picked her because she's got that kind of background, and so she very graciously has, she's willing to do it again.
Okay, further recommendation? Is there a motion? I'll make the motion, Marcy. Is there a second? Linda? Any questions? All those in favor, raise your hand. None opposed, thank you. Okay, go to the policy updates.
Okay, last one. So, periodically TASB comes up with those policy updates, and this one was huge. It was
huge, isn't
we
it?
went reading through all that, and so fortunately TASB does most of the heavy lifting for us, and so I've included in there the little synopsis on each one, so that's kind of the Reader's Digest version of it, but still, even that's a lot of reading. But basically, because of House Bill 3 and all those other different pieces of legislation, TASB, bless their heart, they've been trying to keep up with all of it, and they do a good job of keeping us and other Texas districts out of trouble by giving us these updates, so our board policy jives with all these new laws, and so TASB is a pretty trusted source, and so when we get these updates, we look through them. A lot of times it'll be something real tiny, but we went through it and we felt like that everything they're saying is good, needs to be updated, so our my motion is that we move to add, revise, delete any of those local policies as recommended by TASB Policy Service and according to the instruction sheet for TASB Localized Policy Manual Update 114. And so we'll probably get 115 here in a few months, so it's just a never-ending cycle to stay on top of it.
All right, is there a motion for that recommendation, Rob? Second? David? Any questions about any of those changes? There's some more good reading.
There is, yeah.
All those in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay. So we are through with our open meeting and we will be going into closed session. Are they gonna go home?
Yes.
Well, just a little word. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, all of you. You work hard, you deserve to sleep. Go out to eat.
And we're thankful for you. We're thankful for
We
you
are.
guys.
Y'all have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank y'all.